just having a rapport with that creative team was enough for me to be like, yeah, I want to work with them every day. And I don't get to work with Jim Zub every day, but like working with Adam and Chris, it's been awesome. And then working on that project was just, was the most fun I've had.
Why do you like the Infernal War Machine so much? And you are also responsible for so many of the warlords as well.
Yeah. The way it was sold to me. So Fury Road has been probably my favorite movie of the last 10 years. And when the idea of being able to play out that fantasy in D&D, just being able to whenever we were creating, working through the rules of the Infernal War Machines, the idea was always think cinematically. What's the thing you want to be able to do as you're running through, riding through the wastelands of Avernus, and try not to get too bogged down in the minutia of
not too crunchy.
Yeah, exactly, not too crunchy. Just you want to be able to accommodate what people want to do with these things, and so coming up with all the different modifications that we did, and coming up with just the rules itself and the modified chase rules and everything. It was just have fun doing this, and so far people I've talked to, they're like, why do I want to, people are saying, you have to, in Avernus, you're trying to, once you're in hell, you have to try to find your way out of hell. And people are like, why do we want to do that? We have a sweet ride. We get to just become a warlord ourselves and just carve out our own little fiefdom here.
Oh, yeah. I would totally decide to become my own warlord.
Yeah. You won D&D. Like, that's it.
Yeah. I would just stay in Avernus, run my scams, and
collect your soul coins and be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all we all really want deep down.
That's what we're all after, right? Our own Infernal War Machine. Like, that's when you really think about life.
What's your favorite part of the Warlords, or things that you... Because I remember Adam Lee told me very specifically about a playtest session that he was in with you that was hilarious and insane.
So the Warlords themselves, I have this kind of this sense of grandeur that they are bigger than they really are. So Avernus has the blood war going on, right? You have this epic war of demons and devils that might, decide the fate of the cosmos of Dungeons and Dragons. And then you have these groups of people who have just kind of carved out their own little space in these wastelands, in the Endlands. And I love the fact that, like Ragadraga is one of the warlords.
This is a great name.
And he goes by His Eminence Ragadraga. He styles himself, a king. And
I like this guy.
Yeah. And so each one of them have their own little kind of hilarious story, not hilarious necessarily, but their own kind of stories that give them their own flavor, and just why they would become a warlord here. And not all of Mad Maggie is a night hag, and so they all have this. They're just together. They're this hilarious collection of characters. By themselves, they'll have their own kind of flavor of how brutal they can be as warlords.
How are people going to leave Avernus? I don't want to leave it.
You
guys have made it into, well, I would say, I know this is like a terrible thing to say, but it feels like a campaign setting. There's so many NPCs. There's so much fleshed out, and it's so unique to what D&D has had, I would say, in any edition and any adventure before.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Like, just some things that kind of play to that are the way certain spells manifest when you cast them here. Like in our game we played earlier, Adam Lee was saying when somebody cast Fireball, it actually took on the visage of cackling devils. That even the magic here manifests in an infernal way.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and so it does start to feel like its own campaign setting. That everything has its own Avernus take on it.
Now, have you run other games that were surprising and weird? Tell me about. Avernus infects kind of everything, including madcaps. So just because you're in Avernus, there's not only just devils and demons.
Yeah.
A lot of other people have decided to join.
So if you don't want to embrace what hell is all about, hell can be detrimental to you and your health and your kind of just your well-being. The warlord, Mad Maggie, she has basically a whole gang of a bunch of redcaps. But some of them have undergone a type of transformation where they become madcaps.
And how do they do that?
So when demons die in Avernus, they kind of fall apart into piles of Iker or Iker, whatever. Anyway,
Iker, potato.
Yeah. They become this
We recently had a victim of that in our game.
Yeah. Another awesome thing about Avernus, but these red caps who have red caps are born from murder, and they grow up out of these little spots of blood, and they have to keep their hats red. Mad caps have taken a liking to Demon Iker, and they will, if they roll around in that stuff, they actually will go through this transformation. Their hat will kind of begin to fuse to their face, and they kind of take on this madness. And when they die, because Demon Iker is an unstable type substance, they can actually pop. They can explode when they die and just kind of spray gore everywhere, and just make it a little more hellish.
What are the other effects of Demon Iker? Are there rules? Because I had a player literally drink it and spit it into the engine of a Infernal War Machine to make it move faster.
Yeah.
Max, Mad Max Fury Road.
Absolutely.
So, what are some of the effects that might have?
So for your War Machine, if you were to put it in your Infernal War Machines are run on soul coins, right? Because of course. Right?
Everyone knows this, okay?
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
Basics.
This is common
basics.
knowledge.
Okay.
Kindergarten 101 stuff we learn.
So now that we've established that, what you can do is you could actually supercharge for a short period your vehicle with by dumping some Demon Iker into it.
Okay.
And it's also an unstable thing, as we've mentioned before. And it for a minute, once you've kind of dumped the stuff in there, your War Machine can fly much faster, or fly across. It doesn't actually fly.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But it feels like you're flying.
Yeah, it feels like you're flying. So it's cruising really fast, but every round you're gonna have to roll to see if something happens. Your vehicle's not made to run on this, and so there's a chance that you have a mishap.
Right.
Something goes wrong.
You have an entire table of mishaps that
can
occur.
Which was a ton of fun to write. So I love mishaps and all the chase complications, anything to make it more more difficult for players to get through.
But can it affect players?
Yeah. Some of it's kind of open.
For you personally, I don't know. Are there actual rules for that?
I'm trying to remember if it actually made it in. We have played with it. I don't remember if it actually made it in, but there's the idea of Demon Iker is this notion that you're not supposed to handle this stuff. You have to be very careful when you do. Ingesting it itself, I mean, is probably not great.
Right.
So yeah.
So in Heroes of the Veil, we had a main character who, may have gone drunk a little bit.
Just
through the effort of getting
it
into the actual Infernal War Machine. I had him just kind of get bigger and more juiced
and
a little bit angrier.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
What do you think some of the side effects are going to be?
If I were to take madcaps as how things might happen, I think madness may start to play into it.
A little bit of madness for a while.
And that's the thing. So Avernus itself is all about devils, but the Blood War has demon incursions. And to add a little bit of that kind of demonic madness, that'd be an interesting way to take it. Yeah, absolutely.
What made you fall in love with the project overall?
The way it was sold to me, this is what we want to do with Avernus. This is we want to make give Avernus its own take. Like we've seen parts of the Abyss, but Avernus is the first layer of hell as this blasted war zone. Like, what does that even mean? That this has been going on, since the River Styx, made its way through Avernus. So what does it mean to have a place that has basically defined by war? And the fact that the front line of this war is constantly shifting, and it leaves this kind of blasted landscape behind it as it shifts away. And there was just so much space to play with, things that are ruined, things that you could salvage. This concept of rediscovering lost civilizations and what even lives out here. There's no what does wildlife look like? And Max Dunbar came up with that sketch of the abyssal chicken. And
the abyssal chickens are very disturbing to
they
many,
are
many
disconcerting. yeah. They make me uncomfortable, and I love them.
What's the reaction been like for you? So to put all this effort into a book and then start to finally get feedback and see people streaming it for the first time?
I feel like the biggest geek ever when I just see this stuff actually take form. 2 years ago was when we had the initial brainstorm sessions, and just see it kind of get hammered into shape, and yielding this is just it's awesome. I can't even begin to express how much it means just to me to see people enjoying themselves with stuff that I even had a part of. Yeah.
how you're kind of a recent addition to the D&D team.
Yeah,
How has it changed you?
yeah.
That environment?
Working on Avernus or working on D&D?
Well, let's do both.
uh, yeah, working on Avernus, I think working on this itself, I'm new to doing, I'm a narrative designer, but I got to kind of play with some of rules design stuff here, and it really is something that was very different than it was working on Magic. The idea of always looking at what's the best way to facilitate fun as opposed to necessarily always getting crunchy in rules was kind of a liberating thing. But in terms of working on D&D, I love the people I get to work with. It's so much fun to just kind of be able to turn around and ask Chris Perkins a question about DMing or just philosophy or anything, and it's just great. And everyone's very everyone tolerates my constant peppering of questions.
I think I would drive them insane.
Yeah. So, it's been a blast. I'm loving it.
What would your best advice? This is my final question. How do you think someone should play a devil?
How someone should play a devil? Oh man. Find out what all of your players want and cater to those things in the worst way possible. If you find out exactly what they want and pit those wants against each other, then you did it. I think that, absolutely. I think make them devils who are charming, I think are awesome, because it's easier to sell something that way.
Tends to be.
And just honestly have fun with it as a DM. Be willing to offer deals for pretty much everything, and just see what that line is. Find the line and kind of push your players to cross it.
Ariel Levitch, thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Narrative designer on Baldur's Gate: The Descent into Avernus. The book is amazing. I am so excited. I'm never leaving, and all I'm ever going to do is run around in a war machine. There is no other game for me, so yeah.
That's it.
Check
we did it.
Get that book. Thank you so much for watching, everyone.
Yeah.
So with Baldur's Gate: Descent into Avernus, why did you choose Zariel?
Zariel fits in part of it because she's a part of this old lore that we dug up, and Zariel in the lore was an angel,